Jack, it's time for another Mayor's Hour. We're taking it outside.
Oh yes.
And as you can tell, it's a little brisk out here.
One of the coldest days of the year.
Yes, and we're at a special place, in every sense of the word. we are at the Howard Curren Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant. You know, for a lot of folks in our community, they assume that when they flush the toilet that all of a sudden it magically disappears. Well, we're going to find out that that's not exactly true.
Oh, definitely so. And I've got to say from the start, this smells like a restaurant in my old hometown.
Yes.
Sort of.
Well, we won't want to go there, so it's okay. But this is an amazing facility, and it really will be an educational process for a lot of the folks that are watching us today to see exactly how this process works, exactly what happens when the waste comes here, how it's treated. And we're going to learn way more than we probably wanted to, but it's going to be a great educational tool.
Yeah, this is a tremendous asset for the city of Tampa. And again, most people don't know anything about it.
Well, we're going to learn, so stick with us. We'll be right back. We're going to enjoy the ambiance of the wastewater treatment plant. And you and I are probably going to need a shower when this is done. We'll be right back. Well, Jack, we're back. We were just talking off camera how thankful we are that this is a cold day.
Yes.
If this was the middle of the summer, this would not be a particularly aromatic experience.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. The chill helps to break the
temper.
Temper the ambiance, as you put it.
Yes. But we're back at the Howard Curren wastewater treatment plant. I actually knew Howard Curren. I actually worked with Howard Curren a number of years ago, and it's only fitting that this building is named after him, who contributed so much to the development of our infrastructure and public works. Just a great, great guy. He's no longer with us, but this is a fitting tribute to him. And what we are standing above, Jack, is the nitrification tanks. Now, I'm a guy who barely made it through biology, which is why I'm the mayor. In high school, unlike my wife, you know.
Did better in poli-sci and things like that.
Yeah, but we're above the nitrification tanks. This plant treats about the capacity is about 96 million gallons a day. And we're with the guy who actually runs it. Tiny. Tim Ware is here. He's been with the city for about 8 years, Tim?
Yeah.
And he runs this facility out here. I don't know that I would want this job, but I appreciate that you do it. So tell Jack and I a little bit about what we're seeing here, what the plant does, how it works.
This plant takes all the wastewater that is generated throughout the entire city. So all the way from the Pasco County line to MacDill Air Force Base, it all gets routed and comes here. Once it gets here, it's our job to treat it, remove all the nutrients out of it, so we can safely discharge it out to Tampa Bay or use it for reclaimed water. So the reactor we're standing on now is for nitrification. What it's designed to do is, everyone that's ever had a fish tank knows that ammonia kills fish. Well, this reactor starts the process of converting ammonia that's in wastewater to something that's a lot easier for us to remove.
Nitrification, now you think of nitrates, nitrogen, obviously.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. We take ammonia, which chemically is NH3. These reactors with the bacteria that we're growing in here take the hydrogen off and add an oxygen to it, which gives you NO3, and NO3 is nitrate. And nitrate's the first step in our process to remove nitrogen from the wastewater.
And from that point then, how clean is it after it's gone through the nitrification? It can go straight to the bay, or?
Not at this point. We still have a few more steps in the process before we get there. We still want to get that nitrate out. Nitrogen discharged into Tampa Bay adds to algae blooms. So if we have too much nitrogen going out, you'll see algae blooms, it kills fish off, it kills the seagrasses, and it really has a big impact on the bay. Also, after that, we want to disinfect the wastewater. We don't want to put a bunch of harmful bacteria out into the bay. So we add chlorine as a disinfectant prior to discharge so that the water going out is as safe as it can be.
So
I'm kind of like you are on that, from biology and everything.
I didn't understand a word he said.
No, but I'm wondering, at what point did the city or did we learn that something has to be done to wastewater? What used to happen to wastewater, and how did we get to the point where it is such a scientific process and such an involved process?
Well, what people found out many, many years ago was that when you have huge populations of people living together, they're going to produce a lot of wastewater. And back in the olden days, you dumped it out in the street. When they had chamber pots, you dumped it into the alleys and stuff like that. Well, public health concerns got to a point that we really had to do something to improve the health of everybody around us. So as big cities grew up, the need was found to really consolidate all that and put it in one spot. You know, if you live out in rural Hillsborough County or in northern parts of the city, a lot of people have septic tanks. Well, that's your own little private one. Well, when you have an area as populous as the city, you need something a lot bigger that you can control a lot better. So this facility actually started back in 1950. It was considerably smaller, and the treatment process wasn't near what it is today. Now, we were fortunate and through Howard Curren got a huge amount of grant money to build a major expansion with the Clean Water Act in the 1970s. And that's what really kicked us off going to the advanced wastewater treatment process.
Now that was under Governor Martinez. When Bob Martinez was the mayor,
Yes.
He's the one that started the process by which what we see now has been constructed. So he had the foresight to know that we had to treat the water, it had to be tertiary treated. We wanted to set the standard, and we knew that we had to have room to grow so we could, you know, as we expanded. But it was largely Governor Martinez that was involved in that.
And what we've gotten to now is this facility is the largest advanced wastewater treatment plant in the state of Florida.
Really?
There are one or two that are bigger than we are as far as total capacity, but no one treats it to the same level as we do on the volume that we can.
And you mentioned reclaimed water. I mean, some goes into the bay, some is reused.
Correct.
Right?
We've got a reclaimed water system that predominantly follows along Kennedy Boulevard all the way out to Tampa International. And it's used by a variety of businesses and citizens for things like irrigation.
We use it at our home.
A lot of folks use it for cooling water in big towers. The city's incinerator takes reclaimed water to run their cooling tower as part of their process. And Tampa International just recently came on board using it for irrigation in their cooling towers out at their facility as well.
And I've heard in the past, I've heard city council talking about it, and it's been tossed around before, that you can go even beyond that just for reclaimed water, and it can be reused again, and ultimately it becomes potable.
Absolutely, you can do that. Water is water, and the chemical makeup, and we're not going to get back into chemistry, I promise. But the chemical makeup of water, water is water, and the goal for water and wastewater treatment is to get all the things that are harmful to people out. We actually ran a pilot plant out here in the late 80s, and we proved that we could take the effluent from this plant, run it through a few more processes like reverse osmosis that they have down at the desal plant, and make it drinking water quality. We had actually gotten to a point where we had a permit that we were able to do it. Now, I'm not a politician, and I kind of like being an engineer, but things got in the way and people got a little nervous because I don't know that there was the faith in the science that there is today. But it's definitely a possibility, and a great many communities do that now.
You know something, Jack? When you think about the future and the demand on our aquifer and our natural environment, using reclaimed water as drinking water, assuming that you pump it back up the river, pump it back out into the well fields, let it diffuse down into the aquifer, makes all the sense in the world, and other states are doing it. And that way you don't diminish or degrade the natural environment. So at some point we were going to be taking this water, and once people get beyond the ick factor, you know, it's more about the psychological, not the science.
Definitely so.
Once we can get this to a point where we can move it out either into the Hillsborough River, into the well fields, I think you're going to see eventually that the city of Tampa would never be at risk for a drought.
Well, regardless of the global warming issue or not, water is going to be a very precious resource as time goes on. We're seeing already in parts of the world where people are fighting over water, where water is such a serious issue, and we've even seen it between Florida and Georgia already over water supplies. And 20, 30, 40 years from now, it is going to be a really precious commodity, and it's going to be an absolute necessity to reuse it,
You know, it's interesting. I was in Israel last year, and Israel, because of its natural environment and because it lives in a bad neighborhood, literally has to reuse all of its water. So their loss is about, I think they told me 2%. That's it.
Wow.
Every other bit is reclaimed, reused. You know, it's a desert, and they can't go to their the country next door who hates them,
Yeah.
you know, to get resources. So they use everything. On the reclaimed water, we dump, what, 60, 65, 55 million gallons a day into the bay?
We average 60 million gallons a day through the plant. Only about 3 million gallons of that is used back as reclaimed.
Okay. Tell me about the positive impact of that reclaimed water on the health of the bay.
Reclaimed water going back to the bay, with the changes in treatment that we've done for the last 30 years, if you lived out in Tampa Bay, you know, 50 years ago, this place was nasty. We were basically dumping almost raw effluent out to the bay, and it just became a not very pleasant place. With the improvements here, with the quality of water we put out now, the bay has come back to life, the health is there, the Tampa Bay Estuary Program does a fantastic job of taking care of it and monitoring it, and the reclaimed water that is going in there only helps to clean things up. It's kind of funny, we just heard a plane fly over, but we very often will get phone calls from concerned citizens that are taking off from Peter O'Night because they see a big plume in the water where our discharge is. And what they don't realize is our water is so clean coming out that it makes the rest of the bay kind of look bad. And that's where we really are having a very positive impact on the overall health of the bay.
The bay better.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
It's done very much to the bay's benefit to do that.
That is terrific.
We're going to be right back. Hopefully we'll be indoors. From this rose-smelling garden to another part of the plant. Yes, the bouquet. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Jack, we're back, and we're indoors.
Yes.
It's a little bit warmer. Smells a little bit better.
Certainly does.
We're done denitrifying, whatever that was.
But it's been done.
It's been done. Whatever it is, it's done. And we're here with Robb Decker, who's going to explain to us, and I'm afraid to even look at this panel, let alone back up and sit on something. What exactly goes on here? What this process is, what this room is, what the guys who work here do. So Robb, tell us where we are and tell us what it is that you do and how you do it.
This is the denitrification process. It's where we converted everything over on the other side to nitrate, and then this is where we take the nitrate out of the water. So all that's left over when it goes to the denit filters is nitrogen gas, or N2, and that's released in the atmosphere, just like what you breathe is 79% nitrogen already.
So we go from putting the nitrates in, all the nitrates go in over there where we were before. Now you come over here and you have to take them all back out again.
Right, because if you have that nitrate go into the bay, it can cause the fish kill and the algae blooms and stuff like that. So it's very important to take it out before it goes to the bay.
But when you take it out, does it come out just as nitrogen?
It comes out as nitrogen gas.
Yeah.
Yes, it converts it, and very little amount of nitrogen goes out in the bay, but most of it all comes out as nitrogen gas.
And nitrogen gas is colorless, odorless?
Yes,
okay.
You breathe it every day.
So you just let it out of one of the pipes and just let it get in?
It actually just boils up, you push water up through the filters, and it actually just pushes it to the atmosphere.
And go ahead, Jack.
No, you were going to ask the same thing I was about this thing.
Do we have the missile codes?
We do not.
That's what it looks like. I was thinking the same thing.
They told me you had them. So.
Oh, I do. Where's the guy with the briefcase that walks around behind the mayor? So when we want to attack loots, we hit one of these buttons?
Yes. This is the control panel. We have 32 denitrification filters. At one time, we were the world's largest tetra denit filter facility. And this is the controls for the filters. They have influent valves, what we call effluent, which lets the water out. Then every couple hours, you have to push water up through the bottom to release that nitrogen. And they have what we call backwash water valves and air valves. So once a day, you clean them by pushing air and water up through there to get the what little solids come over here out of there. We retreat all that water, but all the nitrogen goes out.
How long do people have to be trained to be able to operate mechanisms like this one? I mean, this is very complex.
This facility has a lot of, because this is also where we chlorinate and then dechlorinate the water, so they need to know about the chlorine aspect of it. We have have a certain residual so it can go before it gets dechlorinated. And so they take quite a few months to train them over here in this area.
And I was talking to two of the employees, the technicians that work here, and probably you have to have certain levels of certification, right, to operate this. Tell me about those. You
have to, Florida has 4 licenses, D, C, B, and A being the highest. And to be in a position, very high, you usually get an A license after 5 years. And you need to have a license because you need to know, to work over here, because you need to know what's going on. You need to know the characteristics of the wastewater, of all the different things and all the processes and how they work. So it's very important for the state.
How many people do you have that are working just in here? I mean, do you have a lot of different shifts? Does it go on 24 hours a day or 8 hours a day?
24 hours, 7 days a week, holidays, Christmas, all that stuff. There's somebody here. There's at least 8 people here every day, every shift. And so on 3 to 11 and holidays and all that, weekends and stuff.
So does the capacity increase after Gasparilla?
You do see a little bit of a bump up.
Yeah,
you get a spike.
I can imagine that. Well, we keep hearing about things like the nitrogen, you take that out, the chlorine, things like that. Those kind of things have to be removed. What about the effluent itself that has to be removed somehow? What happens to that? And again, you're talking to people who don't understand chemistry or botany or.
Well, once it's gone through this system, we've taken out most of the nitrate, and all that's left is in the water is it's very clean at that point. But you still have to chlorinate it to get some of the pathogens out, to kill anything that may be left over. And at that point, for it to be used for reclaimed water, you've got to have a residual, what we call residual, and that's putting chlorine in there. But for it to go into the bay, you can't have any chlorine left in the water at all. So you've got to take all that out. So that's part of what this process also does.
But I'm thinking of the effluent from the beginning. I mean, where does all the really bad stuff go?
Well, it's just consumed. It's actually it's wasted. We call it waste, and it goes into digesters where it's cooked, and then we put it to our sludge process where that's the bad stuff. And we use it we reuse all that stuff as mill organite. Yeah. We have a pelletizing plant, and then we also just have a press cake, which goes out to sod farms and orange groves and stuff like that. That's where we get rid of our sludge or the bad stuff.
So this process is literally putting stuff in, taking stuff out, putting stuff in, taking stuff out. So when it gets to the bay, the process has been basically sanitized.
That's correct. You pulled out all the heavy particles and stuff like that, all this waste and stuff that comes in, and you've stripped it of all that. Your different places in the plant convert different things and change the state of it essentially to where you've got the clean water.
So what you talked about a little bit earlier about there's a byproduct from this that is marketable, that we can monetize. Are we making any money?
We're trying, but we produce quite a bit. So
so we produce pellets that can be sold for fertilizer.
Yes.
What else?
Well, if it's not turned into a pellet form, it's just used as a pressed cake, we call it, and that's used on sod farms and orange groves.
Okay. So they will spread it out in the fields, or it's wet?
Yes, they spread it. It's more of a wet product than the pellets that are dry.
Okay.
It's amazing. You never consider yourself that you're producing things that help us grow things.
Yeah, but a lot depends on the demand, and sometimes the cost of producing is more than what we actually sell it for.
Oh,
so it depends on what the international markets are. And so
really,
some of this is a lost leader for us.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you were mentioning, that at one time this was one of the biggest operations around.
It was. We have Tetra filters, and at one point we were the world's largest Tetra denitrification facility.
Who's ahead of us?
That I don't know right now. I don't know. There's some other style of filter systems that are out there that are advanced. They're just not the Tetra style. So.
What's the Tetra style?
This is the brand that we have here.
I see. This particular.
It's the particular design of our filter.
Yeah, the machinery that works for it. But again, this does look like something you would expect to find at Cape Canaveral or something. And people out here shouting, "All right, we're ready to do it."
Ready to go.
Well, Rob, we thank you. Keep up the good work. When things go bad out here, they go real bad. So fortunately, they never do. We got a great team out here. Yeah. We're going to be talking to Brad Baird, the director, right after this. How long have you been with the city?
21 years.
Wow. You've been about as long as I have.
Out here, yep. All out here. So I started here and never been.
Where did you start?
I started actually in Illinois.
Were you the head sludge guy in the beginning?
I started at the very bottom when I started out here, and I just worked my way up, learned all the areas, and kept moving up.
Bottom in this business is pretty rough.
Yes,
everything goes downhill.
Yes. Literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
So what is your job description now?
I'm an operations specialist.
Okay.
And I come in every morning, look at the plant, how it's running, look at the processes, make any changes or any tweaks, look at how everything and all the areas work, and
Good.
we make adjustments
Good.
accordingly.
That's great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You guys do a
Yes,
great job.
indeed.
Stay with us. You're going to learn more about sludge than you ever thought you cared to. So
What goes downhill?
yes, and so stay with us. Welcome back, Jack. Another great segment. Here we are at the Howard Curran Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant. 96 million gallons a day capacity. It makes magic happen, or something happen.
96 million. I mean, that's an incredible amount of water.
It is indeed, and as we talked about earlier, most people think when they flush the toilet that all of a sudden it just disappears.
Yeah.
There is a whole science behind it. There's a huge amount of infrastructure and money tied up in these facilities. And for those of you that have reclaimed water, you know what these pipes are. You know what this purple color is. And we're joined today by Brad Baird, who's the director of the Tampa Water Department. He wears a number of hats down at City Hall. But we're going to talk to him a little bit today about reclaimed water. Brad, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Tell us where we are. Tell us what reclaimed water is.
All right. We're standing in front of the reclaimed water pumping station, and that's the station that pumps water, sends water from here all the way to Tampa International Airport and to customers in between. Reclaimed water is water that comes out of the Howard Curran plant and is further chlorinated or disinfected to a higher level and then sent to the customers.
And it goes directly from here then to the customers, right? I mean, this is for use on watering lawns and now watering out at the airport. I know Joe Lopano has initiated that program out there.
That is correct, yeah. Directly from here to the customers. First to the customers on Davis Island. Some industrial uses here on the site, and as well as at the McKay Bay facility. We use the water there as well in some of the air pollution equipment. And then all the way to Tampa International where they use it in cooling towers.
Now, I have a fashion question. Why the, I would call this purple, but I know there's some women watching. So that's not purple, it's puce or something, lavender or whatever, I don't know. What color is this? Is there a woman out here who knows what color that is? It looks purple to me, but whatever.
You're on your own.
How did you come up with that color?
Well, it was actually assigned by the state of Florida, or also the federal government, because I think it was the only color left. Every utility has a color.
Was that the only shirt left in that color?
That was the only shirt left in
There's
this
a
color.
reason why that was the only shirt left, Brad.
I only wear it on special reclaimed water days. But
Notice our water department wears colors to match the color of the pipes.
we, blue is the designation for water, green for wastewater, and so forth. Purple, obviously, for reclaimed water. So
That's amazing.
So this started under Mayor Greco, the reclaim process.
It did, and Mayor Martinez, now Governor Martinez, took it from there. We were able to secure a large amount of grant money from US EPA, and then later some loan money, low interest loan money from the state, totaling over $300 million. So big money.
$300 million
Big money.
is in this plant. I mean, that's a lot of serious money.
That is an incredible amount of money. And the when you talk about this going to use as reclaimed water and someday perhaps potable water put back into the system, and we'll go into that in a second, but then how do you determine what goes back into the bay and what goes out as reclaimed water?
Well, everything that is not used as reclaimed water ends up being dechlorinated. Take the chlorine out so it doesn't hurt marine life, and then goes to the bay. So right now we use over 3 million gallons a day in our reclaimed water system, and so that amounts to, from an environmental perspective, that amounts to taking out 11 tons of nitrogen a year out of the bay. So it's an environmentally good thing to use reclaimed water, It's cost effective in that it's cheaper than potable water. So it's a good thing. If you're in the reclaimed water area, I encourage you to sign up and hook up.
So, as opposed to folks using drinking water, basically, you can use this on your lawns, you can use it in industrial plants.
Correct, yeah, that's what people do. They use it on their lawns. And the good thing about reclaimed water is you can use it any time of day. It's not subject to watering restrictions like potable water. So you can use it, 24/7.
And you get a price break too.
And you get a price break. It's $1.20 a unit, whereas potable water goes up to $6 a unit.
So for all of you in South Tampa that have access to reclaimed water, there's a financial reason why you ought to consider this. There's the moral reason, which is we're not using drinking water on our lawns. But the financial reason is we've made this so much cheaper to encourage folks to use it, because if you use reclaimed water, we don't have to use the well fields, we don't have to use the river water for sprinkling. So those of you that aren't hooked up, please consider hooking it up. Call Brad and we'll get you taken care of.
Now, do you all cooperate in any way with Hillsborough County, with the county on this, since obviously you're very close together?
Actually, we are having discussions to interconnect the two systems, which would be a win for the county and a win for the city. It would mean we would provide less nitrogen to the bay, and the county could hook up more customers. So it's one of those, another thing that the city is working together with the county on.
Do they have as sophisticated a program as we do here?
They do. In fact, utilities throughout the Tampa Bay area are known for having very sophisticated reclaimed water systems, starting in St. Pete.
And how do you take it to the next level, where you go from just making it reclaimed water to making it potable? Is that going to entail a major expansion out here, or is it something that can be done relatively simply to get it back into the aquifer and back out again to be used as potable water?
Well, first I would say it is being done throughout the country in other areas, but it's costly. It costs a lot of money to do that, and essentially we would need to build a water treatment plant to clean it up even further, clean the water up further, so that you could drink it.
You and I have had this discussion. What do you think that would cost, that treatment plant, in order to treat it so we could pump it back upstream?
The treatment plant itself would be in the neighborhood of $100 million, but the pipelines and the storage could add as much as another couple $100 million, depending on how far you're transporting it.
Is that kind of money available from government sources?
Not at this point. Matter of fact, Orange County, they just finished a system or a plant and a delivery system that cost $500 million. That was Orange County, California. But so it is big money to do that. The technology is there. Once you get over the yuck factor, there's no reason why you shouldn't do it. The big advantage is you don't have to build another distribution system. You already have your distribution system in place. You just treat the water further, use it as a raw water source, and it's back in the system again.
And unfortunately, though, that's something in which I know oftentimes when you have technology like that involved, well, wait a while and the costs will come down. That's not going to happen in this case, is it? Because, I mean, there's one technology and there's one cost, and it's pretty well going to stay that way.
Yeah, the treatment technology has not changed significantly. It's what we would use what's called reverse osmosis, and that is very costly in terms of electricity and in terms of membranes.
What are these?
One is drinking water and one is reclaimed water. I'm going to challenge you to pick between the two. Can you tell the difference? And those at home, can you tell the difference?
I'm gonna go with that one as being the drinking water.
Okay.
I'll go with that one as the reclaimed water.
Well, Jack is right.
Of course he's right.
This one's a drinking water. This one's a reclaimed water.
Wow.
But it's really tough to tell.
No, you can't tell the difference. You really can't. That's amazing.
This plant does a wonderful job in treating the water.
Brad,
Very complex plant.
Andrea, come here. I want our folks watching this show to know how committed we are to reclaim water. We were all about the purple. See this? This woman is committed to reclaim water. Not just the shirt, she's all in. Now I need you to get all in too. Sign up for Reclaim Water, all right? Would you please? Thanks, Andrea.
You gotta tell me what color that is.
It's purple.
Okay, purple, good. I thought it was in the Crayola box under lavender, one of those things.
She's going to kill me when this is all over with, but it's okay. Her face is only as red as her hair is purple. Thank you, Andrea. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to watch a video about the reclaimed water system, and we'll be right back.
What's going on is a construction of a major processing plant for used oil. This is really what the Tampa Port Authority is about, producing jobs and cargo flows in and out of the port. There are going to be a lot of jobs associated with this plant when it becomes operational. And I think the project itself is an excellent project. The development of this involved the county, the city, EDC, and the Tampa Port Authority, and we all work together to bring this company here to Tampa. They're going to be bringing in used oil, refining it, and producing lube oil. The overall project is an enormously beneficial, environmental sensitive project. It's going to take waste oil, hazardous waste, off the streets, out of the environment, bring it here and produce a product that is going to be useful. It's also energy conservation oriented. Rather than using crude oil for producing lube oil, they're going to use waste oil. And of course, important to us and everyone in Tampa is the use of the jobs that are going to come in here. Among the things that we did that are really important and reflect the city's cooperation in this project is the extension of the reclaimed water line to this site. They're going to use a lot of reclaimed water. It's much more beneficial to use reclaimed water rather than potable water, and they're going to be completing the extension of the line to this site within the next few months. The plant intends to be operational in the fall, and the reclaimed water will be an essential part of their project.
Next Loop is a very unique company. We are going to build the first used oil re-refining plant in Florida, and this is going to be the most advanced plant in the world. We're going to be able to process more than 24 million gallons of used oil and make final products. You know, from a waste, we go to a very high-end lubricant or technical white oil. Technical white oil that could be used for indirect food contact. We are located inside Tampa Port Authority property. That's Pendola Point. We have 12.3 acres. We have a loan lease term agreement, more than 20 years. So we come here for stay forever. And this will have a huge impact not only to the local economy, also to the environment. This project, we're investing private money more than around $110 million. During construction, you can see we're going to have more than 1,000 jobs. During operation, around 750 between direct or indirect. And the beauty of the project is everything is local, you know. We're based, our general contractor is from Tampa, Buckhorn and Cook. Tampa Tank is building all those tanks. Dallas One is doing all the horizontal jobs. So huge impact in the local economy. But the beauty of the project that we are taking a used oil that currently is being born, and we are going to re-refine and make again final lubricant. This is the beauty of the project, and the technology that we are using here, nobody has used before. This will be the most advanced re-refined plant in the world. Apart from this, this is a project totally oriented to be self-sufficient. As it was explained before, we don't want to use potable water. All the process will be relied in reclaimed water thanks to the Tampa Port Authority that is building that pipeline. We will not use the septic well. We're going to send all to the sewer. And everything is self-contained. So whatever is produced here regarding waste will be reprocessed to make again part of the process. For us, it's a matter of sustainability. Is that it doesn't make any sense to use potable water to be evaporated when reclaimed water could be used, and we are helping. If you can see the wastewater treatment plant throw to the channel around 80,000 gallons per meter of reclaimed water. So we want to use that water and avoid potable water that could be used for human consumption. This is very important for us. We're buying at least 150 gallons per minute of reclaimed water. We want the support from the county, the city, to start educating people. We don't want that used oil to be burned. That used oil needs to be re-refined. It will have a huge impact in the local economy. Okay, this plant will generate more than $20 million per year of income tax, a part of the job creation. What is the need to collect that oil and export to other states? We can do it here, creating wealth and protecting the environment for us and for the next generation. This is the beauty about this project.
Welcome back to Drs. Harris and Dr. Buckhorn on the Mayor's Hour. They have us appropriately. I can give my wife a run for her money now. I have my own lab coat.
This is something. That's right. I think she looks better in hers than you
Much
do
better,
in yours.
much better. But mine says Mayor.
Well, that's true. And hers doesn't.
We are in the lab here at the Wastewater. You've seen from the previous segments of the show exactly how this process works. But there's even more to it than that. There's a science about this. And we're with one of our quality control officers, Farzi, right? Farzi, yes. And she's going to tell us exactly what it is that goes on here. And she's not going to let us touch anything.
We aren't sterile.
Before we start, you need to put your gloves on.
Oh,
because when you when you start working with chemical,
Okay.
We need to be ready.
Hey, and purple gloves again.
Purple gloves,
Purple is
yes.
the color
Sorry,
of the
it
day.
doesn't match, but I get a small one here.
Oh, these things are squeaky. I don't know if I can do this.
I always dreaded that sound.
I do too. Oh. And there's a reason.
Yes.
Oh, brother.
Yep.
Very pretty gloves.
It's not the color of the year. It should be green.
Oh, my.
I would like to share with actually what I have here, and then we get to the experiment. Here we have, this is JC1 influent, which is coming through the plant. And these two flasks, one is final effluent, the final product, which is discharges to the bay, and one is City of Tampa drinking water. And usually when I have tour coming through, I ask them to guess, and they cannot tell. Even sometimes for us, it's hard to tell which one is a drinking water and which one is final effluent, which we produce in this plant. So I would like to share that with you. And here, what we are going to, Mr. Mayor going to actually experiment is going to be total phosphorus, which is part of our permit, and we do report to DEP every month. What we do to get the concentration for this total phosphorus, you have to have a known standard. You have to tell the software with your instrument what actually you are doing. So these are the standards already been prepared. This is our blank. You always have to zero your instrument. Tell your instrument this is 0, so read this as 0. This is mandated by the state of Florida at the lowest concentration. So this is not up to the environmental lab. They tell you what concentration they want this to be. That's why it's very, very light blue. Then you have your middle standard, and then you have your highest standard. After you set those, you go through analyzing your actual sample to know what concentration you have. We have for Mr. Mayor, we have one is our final effluent, which is what we produce and we discharge in the bay, and this is JC1, which comes through the plant. The sample already obviously been aliquoted, and part of the reaction is you have to add 11 normal sulfuric, which it already been added for you, and also the mixture of ammonium molybdate and potassium tartrate been added to it. The last reaction, which is going to produce the blue color, is adding the ascorbic acid, and that is what Mr. Mayor going to do. By adding 2 mils to this, you are going to develop a blue color. And based on the concentration of the phosphate in the sample, the shade of the blue would change.
Okay.
This is the pipette, is already set at 2.
Okay.
So what you are going to do, if you would like, you can practice. You just push it lightly, and then I'm just going to demonstrate for you. You put the tip of your pipette, before you do that, you just push it a little bit, and then you just draw the 2 mils very slowly, and then you are going to add it there.
To there, and then
right.
to there?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you just push it very lightly.
Okay. All right, Farzi, you ready?
Yes, we are.
This thing doesn't have any explosive properties or anything, does it?
Yeah, we'll find out, Jack.
Fine.
Now, if there's oxygen
You got air in there, but
doesn't matter?
It does, but we are not going to analyze those. We are not going to report. This is just, yeah, that's fine.
I'm not going to report you for doing it wrong.
Just go ahead and add. Very good.
All right.
Go ahead and, go ahead and add to this one. As you can see, this is the JC1, so obviously the concentration is higher. It immediately you see that the color is developing. Actually, for the reaction to be completed is between 5 minutes to 15 minutes. So between 5 minutes to 15 minutes,
you can growing blue very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
This is our JC1. This is this sample influent coming, and this is our final product discharging. It has way lower phosphate than obviously what comes in.
So Farzi, how many times do you just test at random times during the day? I mean, how is it that you determine when you're going to test? And
actually, this is what I have here is actually lab cheat sheet. This is part of our permit. We do report JC1 for total phosphate. So how often we do it? Every single influent sample coming through the plant and every final effluent going out, we do test the total phosphate on it.
Farzi, what type of training do you have? What is your educational background? How did you
For
come
me
to
or general for
you?
them? For me, I have a 4 years degree from USF. I'm a chemist. And I started my master, but I have not unfortunately finished that due to the family raising kids.
The other technicians that are here, are they chemists as well?
We have most of us either chemists or biologists.
Wow.
Now, what happens, how often do you find that it doesn't pass or you don't get the right result here when you test it like this, when you look at it like this?
There is no right or wrong. If the concentration comes very high, if, for example, some of the local businesses or industry, they dispose something into treatment plant which they don't supposed to, they cannot fool us because we find out right away.
You can tell right away.
Oh yeah, we can find out right away, and we contact plant manager, and we have a group they call pre-treatment. That is their job to go and investigate.
And how do you determine which user it came from, which customer?
That is that department, that area pre-treatment, they know, they go to the area and they know, okay, this is coming from this part of city, this is coming from the, and then actually we did have a couple of incidents, total nitrogen, and one time total phosphorate coming in was very, very high. Quickly, the lab supervisor contacted the plant manager, and they contacted pre-treatment group, and we were on it. And they investigate, they did find out who was doing it.
So if someone tried to contaminate our system, you would know right away?
We do. We do. Nothing gets by us.
And then you would call the mayor's office.
I might add, by the way, as an aside in here, this place is so well secured, it is incredible. I mean, I had a
Has
heck
to
of a
be,
time getting in here to do the
Well,
mayor's
you're a
job.
little suspect anyway.
Well, they
You're on
looked at me kinda
somebody's
funny.
screening list, I know.
But you know, I was in a no-fly list for a while. I look around, this is a very large lab. Is that what goes on everywhere? I mean, throughout what we see here?
No, this is the simplest reaction we could come up with for Mr. Mayor to observe. But no, we
She just
have,
said the mayor was simple. That's why I think she
No,
had.
because it takes longer. When you run the instrument, that's like 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours job. So in the morning you come, you get your samples. Of course, you have to have your standard ready. Tell the machine what is the known to find out the unknown concentration.
Well, we've got to go to the metals area. So Farzi, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Your simple mayor is on to the
Simple
metals to the metals area, and we'll be
Nailed
right
him.
back. Yeah. Farzi, thank you so much, and thank you for the jacket. I will probably never take it off. I'm going to go home and see if my wife's jacket is as nice as my jacket.
Hers says the mayor's boss. on
Yeah,
it.
exactly, it does. And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've been in the lab with Farzi. We are now in the Spectro-Arcus metal testing area, which is where we take city councilmen who don't vote correctly. I'm only kidding.
That is a mouthful. I'm warning, there's a sign warning hot.
Yes. And Jennifer is here. She's going to tell us exactly what's going on here. I understand that this is a very expensive piece of equipment that we're dealing with here, so I want you to take very good care of that, because I don't want Brad Baird coming back to me during the budget time and saying, I need another Spectro-Arcus metal testing thing.
At least you'll know what he's talking about.
I
when he
will know,
does
yeah.
come.
So what do we got here?
Well, this is what we call the ICP, which stands for Inductively Coupled Plasma. And we use this instrument to test for metals in our water.
In the water? Okay.
In the effluent,
In the
yeah.
effluent?
Yeah,
So if a customer were to dump something into our system that had metals in it,
right.
this is where we would determine that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yep. What we basically do with this is we have our samples and we have to digest them first. So we put them in acid solution and let them digest for a couple days. And that helps loosen up all the metals from the organics and breaks it all down, which organics is like live things, like plants and all that. Then we put it on here, and we have to first run a curve. And to do that, you can look behind us. We have all these little bottles full of different standards that have different elements in them. And what we do is we put a known amount of those into a little flask. We throw it on here and we tell the instrument, read that, because we know it's that volume. We know that that's what's the concentration the element is. And then that basically sets a curve in there in the instrument. So then when we go and read our unknown samples, it has something to go by. It compares it to a known standard.
I go back to where the metals come from. As an example, I mean, how do metals get in there inadvertently, or do people dump or things like that intentionally, or are you talking about like terrorism or people trying to pollute the water supply?
No, metals are naturally occurring in the environment. So, but there are higher concentration of metals in different areas, and yeah, sometimes people do dump a high concentration of metals, maybe unknowingly, into our system, and we just have to make sure that how we're treating it, what goes back out is metals, not free necessarily, but at a concentration that we can, yes, that's not dangerous, that we can live with.
So you have to determine what the metal is before you can treat it and get it out of there.
Right, right.
So are you a chemist by trade?
No.
You're not?
I am not.
So what is your background?
I'm a biologist, actually.
You're a biologist?
Yes. Yes, I just started working in a lab one day and I really liked it, so here I am.
I was just looking at that chart up there and it gave me flashbacks
oh, my
to
heavens, you're right.
you know, 9th grade biology, and I started to get hives.
And she is a biologist.
Yes, she is. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I can tell she's smart, far smarter than the mayor.
Yeah, that's amazing though that you have to go through chemicals as well, and again, I'm just wondering how somebody does that unknowingly. I mean, is it somebody washing something that has chemicals, or I mean, it has metal on it or something like that?
We get a lot of tank washes in-house, and
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
you don't. I mean, they don't know the tank, or they do know. You know, it just depends, and we just have to make sure that what what we're putting back out is safe.
And using this, but I guess it's a pretty dangerous area because I saw a big eye wash thing out there, and then of course you got this warning hot. And when you say hot, that's not like radiation or anything, it's just heat.
Well,
heat.
we have a plasma flame. If you look in that little window right there, you'll see a big flame, and that's plasma, and that is extremely hot. And now I'm not quite sure what the degrees is, but I know it's in high Celsius.
High Celsius.
Yeah, like you can't open that and look at that flame. It will burn your eyes.
So this is like the CSI of slop.
Boy, it is.
Sure. There you go. That works.
Jennifer, I understand that you have a sample that you want to show us exactly what happens here.
Yes, I'll give you a little idea of what happens with our instrument here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is our sample probe. We're going to take this out. So if you would like to do that, Mayor.
Okay.
Take that out. And we're going to place that in here.
Okay.
Now, what's going to happen right now, the flame is a very pretty blue color, but in a minute you're going to start seeing a red tinge to it. And it just shows you how the sample goes through the instrument, does its thing, goes into, and how elements, different elements, not all elements, but different elements do create a color in the plasma.
All through that little complex mechanism on the side and then into there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I can see that must be a pretty expensive little machine. People have no idea what goes on back here to protect them and make their water safe.
This is a test we do when we make adjustments inside the instrument. This is a test we do to make sure that the instrument is functioning properly.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to do this constantly?
No, no. This is just one every 6 month kind of thing.
Okay.
That was pretty fascinating. We're going to be right back, and we're going to wrap up this segment of the Mayor's Hour. Purple gloves and all. Stay tuned. Jack, that was fascinating. People don't realize just what goes on out here and what, managing a big city and all that goes into it is all about. And, we've got some great employees that are doing great things that people don't know, perhaps don't appreciate it, but they know when it doesn't work.
That's the amazing thing. That's what I love about the Mayor's Hour. It's an opportunity to give people in the city to see what goes on that they don't know about. And I'll guarantee you, nobody knows about this place. I mean, this is one of the best kept secrets around. Again, as we said at the beginning of the show, people flush and say, well, that's that. That's all we have to worry about there.
Now we know it's because of the Spectro Arcos whatchamajigger right here.
Very expensive whatchamajigger. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to talk about something that just developed this past month, and that is the first big new building in town that's going to be coming along. And again, it's moving in the direction that you like, and that is having more people move downtown to get a more vibrant downtown. And that one is going to be a great one. I mean, the location, everything about it is terrific.
Yeah, Jack, I'm pretty excited. There's a buzz about Tampa, particularly downtown, that hasn't existed in a long time, and we were able to craft a deal thanks to the cooperation of the Straz Center, who has some needs that weren't being met, developers that were interested in doing a 350 unit, almost $90 million project on a residential tower, 36 stories tall, that will house about 500 people on a small piece of land right near the Strass. So you have a great conduit between the waterfront and the Riverwalk and the Strass. It enables us to straighten out some of those streets down there, because if you've ever driven down to the Strass, you know how dangerous that street is. So we're going to straighten those out. We're going to two-way CAS. We're going to give the Strass a brand new entryway. And we're going to construct a building that I think will make our skyline really stand out. It's going to be an Art Deco style.
Art Deco, I love that. That is incredible.
And if you've been to New York, you've seen a lot of the Art Deco style buildings, and they are really, really cool. They're very historic in nature. But just adding that vitality and that life to the waterfront and to the downtown area really is showing the world that, you know, downtown's the place to be.
Yeah, and with the future of the Riverwalk, I mean, when ultimately you get kiosks and stores and restaurants and things along there, and I know right in that area or near the Strass, I know I've been talking a lot with Steve Anderson and some of the people at Riverwalk about doing the Walk of Fame area, or the Fame area, or whatever we're going to call it, down around there too. But I mean, that thing has so many possibilities, and especially when it goes on and extends out into the West Tampa area.
Yeah, well, you know what, I do this every day. This is my barometer of how successful I know we're becoming. When I drive around downtown and I count the people walking dogs, because if they're walking dogs, they live there.
They live there, you're right.
And so, you know, I'm so happy when I see more and more every day folks walking their dogs. Downtown's exciting, and once residential comes, retail always follows. So whether it's a grocery store, whether it's bars, whether it's restaurants, whether it's clubs, whether it's more marinas, all of those things will come as a result of the heads in beds. And downtown has reached that critical tipping point now where I think we don't have to create that dynamic, it's there.
And I know restaurants are growing in profusion out near University of Tampa, that end of Kennedy, and now moving into the downtown area. I've seen articles in the papers recently about new restaurants popping up, and there's so many of them right in that area, which is terrific.
Yep, that river will be the center of our downtown in 10 years, not the western edge. And,
I know.
And we will not recognize our city in a positive way if we're able to keep doing what we're doing. And thanks to City Council, and thanks to Straz, and thanks to the folks who are willing to risk almost $90 million to make this happen.
And I know you're also looking at the western side of the river now to see what can happen there, because that has so much potential.
We are looking at the West Bank. To me, the urban experience ought to start at Howard and Armenia and come all the way into Ybor City. And so it's exciting.
It is, and I love it. I mean, we get downtown more than we ever did, and go out there and jog on the Riverwalk and that kind of thing. And
I've seen you out there.
Experience. Yeah,
there are laws against that.
You can watch me for a long time because I go very
slowly. You're getting your money's worth.
I call it waddling with moderate rapidity.
Speaking of waddling with moderate rapidity, thanks for joining us. We appreciate all the good work our city employees do, the unheralded ones, the ones that you don't see out on the street necessarily. They make this city run. I'm proud of them. I know Jack is as well. We got a top-notch team doing top-notch work. We're going to be back next month to show you another interesting facet of your city. We'll see you then.